Hey everyone, thanks for joining Proverbs Guys Ministries. We have a very special guest, our favorite creationist, Dr. Hovind in the house. Doc, you want to give us a plug for your channel and tell everybody where they can find you at?
Well, thank you, sir. Good to be with you. My name's Kent Hovind. Let's see, I live in Lenox, Alabama, right north of Pensacola, 70 miles, Pensacola, Florida. And we have a ministry here called Dinosaur Adventureland. It's all free. It's all fun. The kids go crazy here. It's 140 acres and 17 lakes and ponds, fishing, boating. Science Center, there's 12,000 square feet of cool stuff. Probably the best taxidermy collection in Alabama, maybe in several states. Okay, it's unreal the stuff God's provided here. Yeah, it's an old-fashioned, independent, temperamental, fundamental, right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist church, Genesis Baptist Church. They can get us on Genesis Baptist Church channel on YouTube and on Kent Hovind Official on Facebook, TikTok, a whole bunch of places. Just go to our website, drdino.com, and you can see all the list of all the places where we put out lots of videos. I think over 25 million of them now in 42 languages, defending the Bible as being scientifically accurate. God said he made everything in 6 days. Everything. That would mean dinosaurs lived with man. So we teach a lot on dinosaurs here. So yeah, we're glad to have you. Come visit. It's all free. We got cabins we'll put you up in. After 2 days, we'll give you a hammer or a shovel, put you to work.
Great. All right, so the topic tonight, we're going to be going back and doing some post-debate review that actually wasn't supposed to be a debate against Steven Anderson. It was supposed to be a friendly sit-down, and it completely fell apart. What happened?
I thought I was completely blindsided. I preached at his church. He's a good preacher, Baptist preacher, and I preached at his church before, and his people loved my videos, and a lot of my material still circulate around his church. I was really shocked, I guess, A, at how he handled the thing, and B, what he was upset about. Totally unnecessary. I think it was sad. But anyway.
In my opinion, I'm wondering if it wasn't a way for him to become relevant again. He's been banned from just about every country around the world because he's a hate preacher. And I'm thinking that maybe he thought somehow the only way to get back in people's good graces was to take a swipe at the great Kent Hovind. What do you think?
I can't be the judge of that. It sounds like a logical possibility, but God be the judge of that. I can't see his heart.
All right. Well, he had several disagreements with you. I don't want to get in real deep to the moon disagreement, but I do want you to touch on that because I think the version of history that he portrays is a very perverted one when it comes to an imperfect world our God would create. And I like how you defended that God made it perfect. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I was shocked to hear him start teaching. Apparently, he's starting a new movement thinking, well, God made the earth to look old. No, God made the world perfect. It's the flood destroyed the world, and man's sin has destroyed the world, but God made a perfect world. But he says, like the craters on the moon was one thing he talked about. I got the moon globe here. Thank you. The moon has craters on one side that are much bigger than the craters on the other side. And I say, look, one of the most logical options I can see is when the fountains of the deep broke open during the flood, the crust of the earth burst open. Say there was 10 miles of rock on top of the water underneath. There was water in the crust of the earth. I cover that in great detail on video number 2, all the Bible verses about how God created the earth on top of the water. What's now on top of the earth, our oceans, used to be in the crust. Well, God made the earth to be habitable. I think you could probably live anywhere in the world for the first 1,600 years from the creation till the flood. And the water that burst forth would have had 30 tons per square inch of pressure on it from 10 miles of rock. That would launch things off the surface of the earth. I think rocks were launched out from the cracking of the crust and the weight of all that rock shooting stuff up. Well, just a theory. That's one explanation for those. Some of those came up and hit the moon, which is why the direct hit would have bigger craters. So the stuff that flew on past and came back by moon's gravity, which is much weaker, would have littler craters. The back side of the moon has small craters. The front side has big craters. It's just a fact of science. Now, what caused it, I don't know. It's my theory that I think the fountains of the deep did that, breaking open. He said God made the moon with craters. I don't believe that. He said God made Adam with a belly button. I don't believe that for a second. But he can believe that if he wants. I don't know how you're going to prove such a thing till we get to heaven. But I think the whole concept of creating the earth to look old is a compromise to try to get somebody in to believe you who is an evolutionist or atheist. And a lot of the people who get mad at me and leave our ministry for some reason, they go to the atheist channels right away. That says something.
Sir, if it falls, it will become flat. So don't drop it.
Okay. We don't want a flat earth.
So Stephen made a lot of bizarre claims. The belly button one was the weirdest. I'm not quite sure how Steven Anderson could have, or how Adam could have a belly button since he wasn't born, but that was the first weird claim he made. The other weird claim he made was referring to when he attacked your timeline, and he claimed that the children of Israel were slaves in Egypt for over 450 years. And the only way I can justify the mistake he made is that he's counting them in slavery from the time they first arrived in Egypt. But that would make Joseph a slave and second in command of all of Egypt. I find that bizarre, don't you?
Well, yeah, and I did some slides on that. How long were they in Egypt? My timeline is exactly correct. His is wrong. Okay, many people have, was it 430 years? Contradictions in the Bible. Here it is. There, okay. Oh, DV. Put my slides back up there, brother. How long were they in Egypt? Atheists love to pick on this and say there's a contradiction in the Bible. Let me get to bend way over here, brother. Okay. No, there's no contradiction. Was it 215 or 400 or 430? And he made a big deal out of that my timeline is wrong. People have this has been a question people have answered hundreds of times for the last hundreds of years, okay? Was it only 215? Was it 400? Was it 430? There's a great article on Answers in Genesis about that. How long were they in Egypt? See, it takes lots of different ingredients to go in to make a cake, okay? So let's look at all the different factors in this supposed contradiction. We know from the dates given in the Bible how old Adam was when he was born, Genesis chapter 5. You can get my chart. And the dates, you can simply add them up. The Bible dates add up to the earth being created about 6,000 years ago, 4,000 BC. Then we know that God called Abram, and changed his name to Abraham. We know the date of that was about 2000 BC. God called him. So God said to Abram, I know you're a stranger in a land that's not your, they're going to be your children are going to be a stranger in a land that's not theirs, your seed. And they shall afflict them 400 years. Well, for the first 30 years, they weren't afflicted. Joseph invited his family to come down and live with them. And Joseph was the vice pharaoh. He fed them and took care of them and all that stuff. So for 30 years, they were not afflicted. For 400 years, they were. So one verse says 430, one verse says 400. Well, they're both right. They were in Egypt for 430 years, but they were afflicted for 400 years. I don't understand why anybody thinks that's a contradiction. They shall entreat them evil for 400 years. And about the fourth generation. So it says, I say this, the covenant, the land was 430 years. Okay? And they claim it's a contradiction. And he wants to change what people have already settled hundreds of times. They've done all the math on this and say, look, they were in Egypt for 430 years, but they were afflicted for 400. It's not a contradiction at all. I don't know what he's trying to do, but so they were in Egypt 430 years. Doesn't say they were afflicted for 430 years. They were in Egypt. Ishmael, the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, mocked Isaac. That starts the calendar right there for the affliction of the children of Israel. Because apparently Abraham was an old man when Ishmael was born, because his wife said, I can't have children, marry my servant girl, Hagar, the Egyptian. So he had a half Egyptian child, Ishmael. Then years later had Isaac. And Sarah was apparently still nursing Isaac at 5 years old. And some countries do that. Nurse the babies up till they're 4 or 5. I guess saves on the grocery bill. But and so the son Hagar was mocking him. Genesis 21 talks about that, Galatians 4, etc. So the promise was 430 years before the law was given. His argument that my timeline is wrong, first place, I don't think I'm wrong. I think I'm right on that. And it's not worth fighting or splitting the church over. I was baffled by the whole thing. So I went through the other night on my show. What show was that I did, brother? The night after that supposed debate. But many people, there's just a lot of Google, how long were they in Egypt? Now the atheists make a big deal out of it because they want there to be a contradiction. From the call of Abraham. This is my timeline he's objecting to. And Abraham, there we go. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. My timeline's right. Not going to change it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doc.
Stephen, may I? The thing for me, before I speak, let me just say that I am one of those that actually love Stephen Anderson, and I was very surprised. There's a lot of people that call him a hate preacher, but I have been helped a lot by him,
Yep, me
and
too.
he has given some very good lectures. He has studied the Bible and giving the correct message of the Bible. He's preaching the right gospel. But there are some things that if you are trying to compensate for things that you don't want to look into, like carbon dating not actually working, and you are trying to compensate for that by saying that the earth was created old, then you are falling in a trap, which is you are creating another God, which is playing tricks on us. The literal 6-day creation is a better explanation. And here is where my problem comes in. You can say, just as you said, just as we heard Kent Hovind say here right now, without any influence from anyone, that this is my view, it's not worth fighting over it. You can have another view. And it's another thing to call someone who is on the same side and on the same camp with you, call him a charlatan and say that what you are doing is wrong and it's hurting the ministry. Now, that is a direct attack. And that's where I felt very disappointed, because we are supposed to use our ammunition to the enemy, and the enemy is the lies. Now, if we have some disagreements among each other, we can't. I have disagreements with Stephen. A lot of people find different Bibles to be better, but if one of them believes in the King James strongly, he will not attack the other person and say you are a danger to Christianity, you are evil. Like that is a thin line, which I got very surprised that Stephen Anderson didn't give you the respect that you should have for attacking every aspect of evolution and proving to people like me that I've been taught lies all my life, because I went to the university and I got myself a degree and I want to throw it in the garbage because everything they taught me was lies and I needed to find Ken Hovind. So in order to arrive to Jesus, there was like a gap which was created by universities. So you cannot go out there and just say you are what you are doing, your 6-day creation is hurting. So I'll leave it to that because it was already 5 minutes. It was for me a disappointment. I felt very sad that day. I hope he realizes that we all have different views. And we shouldn't be attacking each other for our views. We will be in heaven one day, and what matters is to make it there. If we keep attacking each other because they have a different view, then we are disrespecting God's greatest commandment, which is to love each other as ourselves. So would you like to have yourself attacked like that? Be called a charlatan and be called that your preaching is false and you are a false preacher? So why do you do this to a brother of yours? If you don't, then we're going to meet in heaven and we're going to laugh about it. Hey, you thought of 6 days, I thought of an old earth. Ha, ha, ha. So I'll leave it to that for now.
Okay.
Stephen, back to
All
you.
right. Well, the next one up, and that's a great point. I was very disappointed that you being a pillar in the community when it comes to defending creationism, he would take swipes at you. But another bizarre claim he made was that Abraham had no connection to the children of Israel. And I find that just very fascinating since he's literally the patriarch of the children of Israel.
The children of Israel are still God's chosen people. Now, they rejected their Messiah 2,000 years ago, major mistake. And he told them the day he was going to arrive in the prophets, and he told him he would come in on a donkey. He told them and they accepted him and cheered and clapped and threw their coats down. Yeah, here comes the Messiah. 3 days later, they crucified him. So God said, you Jews, I'm going to take you off the olive tree, the natural branch. I'm going to graft in the wild olive branch, Romans 11. I'm going to get some fruit off the Gentiles. And we are in now what is called the age of the Gentiles. And on my chart, which I use, and which we'll continue using, whether he likes it or not, this age of the Gentiles is from the crucifixion of Christ until the tribulation time, there's a 2,000-year period where God's been using the Gentiles to try to get some fruit. I'm Norwegian. I'm a Gentile. But God's not done. He's going to take us off because we're not producing much fruit either and put the Jews back in. And they are still God's chosen people. They're stubborn and rebellious, and he's hard-headed. He's have to, but they're still his people.
One thing that really confused me, Dr. Hovind, is that there were supposed to be two creationists on the stage that night agreeing on creationism, but Stephen took the position of evolutionist a lot more than any creationist position. And did it feel like to you that you ended up debating just another evolutionist?
It did some, yeah. I do so many programs, I can't keep them all straight in my head, but I've done 352 now debates against atheists and evolutionists. And I kind of had the same feeling there, like, I thought this was my friend. I thought this was my ally. What happened here, I don't think about it anymore. It's over with. It's not something I'm dwelling on. I got plenty to do without him. And he's probably got a ministry he can run without me. So go plow. I'm plowing my row as straight and deep as I can. Somebody else is plowing a different row, great, okay? But I'm going to try to produce fruit for the master.
Well, and I know when you first got released, you did a lot of preaching. You helped Steven Anderson quite a bit. You even preached to his church. Do you have any idea, like in his mind, what happened for you to go from friend to foe basically overnight?
I was totally blindsided that night. I had no idea he was angry at me. Apparently, he's made a bunch of videos about me in his church preaching anti-Kent Hovind. I don't watch his stuff. I don't watch all the, how many anti-Hovind videos there are? I don't take time to watch them. Abe Lincoln one time, he was getting a lot of criticism about the Civil War from his own cabinet and people criticizing in letters to the editor and anti-Lincoln arguments in the newspaper. One of his counselors came and said, President Lincoln, you are getting so much criticism. Aren't you going to stop and answer the critics? He said, sir, there's a war going on. If I took time to stop and answer the critics, that's all I would do. He said, history will determine if I did the right thing or not. Now, can you name any of the critics of Abe Lincoln? Have you ever heard of
the
Abe
South,
Lincoln?
but that's it.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Abe Lincoln?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, no, you're right. I can't think of a single critic, though.
Okay.
All right. So you and Stephen, you both preach from the Bible. One thing I appreciate about you, though, is you have a way where you can share the truth in a blunt way, but it doesn't come off hateful. You can tell that you have love and compassion for sinners. How does someone like Steven Anderson read the same Bible that we do, but come off so hateful in his preaching?
That I don't know. He's got to answer to God for that. I got to answer to God for me. So I guess the way I was raised, my dad was a Marine, World War II, sergeant in the Marines, only survivor of his platoon fighting the Japs. And he was such a patient man. I never heard him raise his voice except one time when I was 13. He was teaching me to drive the Volkswagen, and I kept popping the clutch, and he kept telling me, let it out slow. And finally, he had enough. He said, I said, let it out slow. I did not know the man knew how to yell. He was 6'2", 220 pounds of muscle, sergeant in the Marines, World War II, and a brilliant genius man, electrical engineer at Caterpillar Tractor Company. And I was raised to you don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to scream and yell. Have you ever heard me scream and yell? Never? Okay.
Right.
So I just do it differently, I guess. I try to use logic and rationale. I met my first 7 years, we went to a Mennonite church in East Peoria, Illinois. They're a little similar to the Amish in some ways. And I like the story about the Amish guy, or the Quaker. They don't supposed to not ever get violent or not ever get angry. The Quaker said, sir, I would not harm thee for the world, but thou art standing where I'm about to shoot. So I guess my technique of like with the atheists, I can stay calm under fire pretty much, and I can sweetly and kindly tell them, you're stupid.
Now, one of my last questions for you, Dr. Hovind, is do you think you would be up for doing another debate with Stephen, or do you think your time is better served focusing on actual evolutionists?
I want to stick on the actual evolution topic. I get offers to debate on flat Earth and other topics and stuff like that. One thing, somebody sent me a link, and so I watched some of Steve Anderson's response after our. So I thought it was a discussion. I didn't know. I thought he was on our side. I didn't know it was a debate against him. But anyway, after that night, he did a sermon at his church and called me what was the word he used?
A
A
charlatan?
polygamist. A
Oh,
polygamist. He said
A
he's
what?
married to multiple women.
Ah, polygamous. Okay.
Well, no, poly, married to more than one. No, this
No,
is
you
simply
said it right. The voice chopped off, and I didn't hear the word. But polygamous, yes, and I verified from the Greek that you said it correctly.
Well, this is I think when they get to that point with ad hominem attacks, they're desperately searching for something to make themselves look good and you look bad. I've got nothing to hide in my relationship with my wives. I was married I was virgin on my honeymoon. How many people can claim that? I would say, like Jesus would say, he's without sin, cast the first stone. So if you want to cast stones at me, answer these questions first. Were you a virgin on your honeymoon? If not, shut up. Did you stay faithful to your wife all the time you're married? I've never touched a woman I wasn't married to. We were married for 42 years, my first wife and I. When I got home from prison, she divorced me. She was afraid of the IRS. In Florida, you can't stop a divorce. It's a one-party consent. If one person wants it, they get it. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't know it was coming. I was completely blindsided. Came home from serving 9 years in prison. I wrote 42 books while I was in there, 37 books in prison, and led 800 men to the Lord. I tried to serve God in prison. I thought I'm coming home and everything's going to be hunky-dory. Let's get back to work. And she divorced me. You can't stop that. So I had Mary Tocco on my program. I started my YouTube channel right up again. I want to get the gospel out. And somebody said, Brother Hovind, you ought to investigate her for your wife. So I'd known about her for some time, her anti-vaccine stand and stuff, childhoodshots.com. And I appreciated that. I talked to her. And so I had her come down to Pensacola, had her on my program. And one of the staff members said, wow, there's the next Mrs. Hovind. Because my wife divorced me and my son made me pay $600 a month to rent a bedroom in my own house. Okay. And so we dated for a little while and ended up marrying her. After 9 months, I thought everything was fine. We're brand new ministry up here, nothing but mud, trying to build this place out of nothing, the old gravel pit. And then she left. And I could go into more detail of, I think it was all the financial thing, but she left. I tried everything to get her back. Finally, I contacted the trustees of the ministry, said, what do I do? They said, Brother Hovind, you didn't leave. You were faithful. File an annulment. When you have a church wedding, you don't have to have a state divorce. You have to have a state, an annulment, a church annulment. So we did. I drove all the way to North Carolina, gave it to her, said, I'm sorry. You've been gone now for 9 months. I've tried to get you back. You don't want to come back. Nope, not coming back. Okay. The marriage is annulled. And so then one of the people that was working here in ministry for about a year doing our landscaping, Cindy, and Mary were close friends. And Cindy, after we dated for a while, I said, okay, I'll marry Cindy instead. I thought she was, and we had 2.5 years married. And we can go a long story there, but she ended up leaving me and falsely accusing me of all kinds of body slamming her and stuff. That stuff's still in the court. And there was no body slam. I've never even yelled at her, okay? She was slapped me and hurt me in many ways. But anyway, she left. So again, what do? The Bible says in 1 Corinthians, if the unbelieving depart, you're not in bondage. I didn't depart. I didn't leave anybody. And so I said, what do we do? The board member said, well, Kent, she left. What do you do? You're free. File an annulment. It's over with. Because it wasn't the whole marriage license idea started after Abraham Lincoln, after the Civil War. Why is the state involved in marriage? License comes from the word licentious. You need their permission to get married. It's always been a church issue for centuries, for millennia. So anyway, that's another long story. So with Cindy, we filed an annulment after trying everything to get her back and continuing to pay her the money she was supposed to be making if she had spousal agreement. Continue to pay her. Finally, the trustee said, stop. She's gone. She's not coming back. I said, Lord, now what do I do? I said, Lord, look, I'm not going to go fishing. I'm not going to date. You make one jump in the boat. If you want me to have a wife, make one jump in the boat. So I just went on preaching like I always do, And then Sandra called from Central Florida. She said, my kids have been watching your videos for years. Make a long story short, I married Sandra, and boy, am I the happiest man in the world. So, right?
You ended up with a Proverbs 31 wife, that's for sure.
Ooh, man, Proverbs 31. Yes, sir. Okay. So I know I'm not a polygamist. Why would he accuse me of that? That's evil to accuse somebody of being a polygamist or adulterer. I'm not committing adultery. Never have. Okay. Never touched a woman I wasn't married to. Never. I think those who have are disqualified from throwing stones. drop your rock and shut up, okay? If you weren't a virgin on your honeymoon, if you weren't faithful to your wife, if you ever had sex outside of marriage, shut up. You're not qualified to judge me, okay? I'm going to stand before God. I think I got clean hands. Lord, I tried my best with each one. I tried my best. You can ask Sandra if I'm a good husband. She will say, I didn't know they made them like this. Yeah, so I'm fine. We're fine. Okay?
Amen.
Like
Well,
Grandpa
Pastor,
said, hey, just because there's snow on the roof, don't mean they're in a fire in the furnace, okay?
well, that's all the questions I have for you. If there's anything else you want to touch on, you're free to do so. Otherwise, we'll let you get back to probably going right back to work if I know you.
No, I believe Sandra's home. I got something else in mind. But so, no, I think it's sad that he did that. I don't know why. I can't be his judge. I'll still be his friend. He's welcome to come here. He's got 7 kids, last I heard. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland. The kids will have a blast. I think it was unnecessary to take that slap at an ally. You know, the Russians and Americans were allies during World War II, even though we differ with them on all kinds of things. We had allied because we got a bigger enemy called Hitler. I think the bigger enemy is the devil, and it's silly for him to waste ammunition shooting me. So I'm done. If he wants to have another debate, I don't think I would. I'm not a polygamist. I'm only married to one woman, very happily. I've never had sex outside of marriage ever. Okay. I do not go to the atheist channels for support when I want to bash somebody. Okay. Like so many of them do that. Like what? Think. Shouldst thou help the ungodly? I mean, read your Bible. Let's see. I believe he's wrong about his teaching that the world was created to look old. Some people even teach there are fossils already in the ground. That's deceitful. That's a deceitful God to give Adam and Eve a belly button. It's not part of your normal anatomy. It's a scar from where the umbilical cord was. Okay, I taught anatomy for years. I can explain all that. So I think it's wrong to say the moon had craters and God made it that way to deceive us. I think when he teaches the earth already had layers, I think that's wrong. The layers are from the flood of Noah. So he can teach what he wants, do what he wants in his church, but I'm not going to fight him.
And that's
I'll
the difference.
myself. If not, if he attacks me, I'll defend myself. Okay. But
Yeah, that's the difference. You're saying, I believe they came from the flood. It makes more sense that they came from the flood. You're not saying that your theory is actually hurting the truth, which in fact it does. But you are not attacking him that way and creating a fan base that knows that he's a Kent Hovind hater because what? He has an alternative, which is that God is deceitful.
Yeah. I don't understand it.
Yep, me neither.
Okay.
When it comes to to all those stones, sir, I didn't want to interrupt you because it was about time you gave people these answers if they were in your heart, but you don't have to because people like me and Stephen and others that love you learn the truth and understand the truth. And it is very important to not judge and get into people's shoes and understand what they've been through. Because if they got out of jail for something that they didn't do and got back to a home where they were asked to rent a small room instead of the whole house and everything that happened, which they haven't researched, why should we even care to give them explanations? Well, God knows everything.
Yeah. That's why the thing about going to jail, people say, oh, Hovind's a convicted felon. First of all, I did not commit a single crime, okay, against the government or anybody else, okay? The government broke 100 laws to put me in prison because of my teaching on video number 5, The Dangers of Evolution. We did a program, was it December 13th or something? We need to write that, December 13th on our channel. What is it? Somewhere mid-December, we did a program explaining why'd you go to jail? I explained the whole thing. The U.S. attorney spent 5 years trying to find something on me to put me in prison. When he finally did, he went and seized the church property in Pensacola. Then he flew to Detroit to have sex with a 5-year-old, got arrested and hung himself in jail. Google John David Roy Atchison. That's the guy put me in prison for taking our own money out of our own bank and nothing illegal about that. So we covered all that on that channel. So no, I didn't commit a crime to go to prison, okay? They committed the crime to put me in prison. But hey, half the Bible's written from prison, so use it. Use your time wisely. I tried to. All right, thank you, guys.
Yeah, and Pastor, I want to just say thank you for having the courage to continue being a soul winner while you're always being under attack by atheists and now other so-called creationists.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, brother. Keep up the good work.
Thank you,
All right.
sir.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. Stephen, should we keep it up a little bit? Have a couple of discussions here? What do you think?
I think we should. I just need about 5 minutes, so if you can hold it down that long, I will join you back.
Yeah, well, what they say about me is that I interrupt everyone and I just want to talk. So I'll practice that to give them some food.
All right. I'll be right back with you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, he actually completely left. All right, so let me give us put me like a little bit on away and put a better background with some. Where is it? Where is the background? And all right, here we are. So yeah, I'll take a bigger icon. There you go. So before Stephen comes back, actually, I'm gonna throw the link out there for anybody that would like to join. And I'm warning you. Oh, okay, I shot it in the private chat. That was clever. I'm alone and I'm typing in the private chat. How smart was that? So here is See Science. I'm not sure that the link goes to Kent Hovind's channel. I don't think it does actually, because we are restreaming through our StreamYard. Restreaming through StreamYard. Wow. So you might, if you want to come in here, you have to come to Proverbs Guys and get the link from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to announce something for those that are staying here. I'm getting extremely mad lately, and my patience has run out with a lot of stuff. I mean, I can give you like quick examples. What Steven Anderson did for me. Steven Anderson I've been very oh my God, I can't phrase the word. I respected him too much, and I was proven wrong because a lot of people were telling me that he's a hate preacher, and I still don't believe he's a hate preacher. He's the only one that took verse by verse the book of Revelation and explained it to me like I was a child. And that happened back in 2015. He had a playlist which was 22 videos of 1.5 hours each. And he explained the whole book of Revelation to me with his understanding. And that was a good start for me to read further in it. He taught people Greek. He started from ABC. And there's a lot in his preachings that I enjoyed. So I was very disappointed, and I hope that I see him turn around. And when it comes to losing my patience, is with people who immediately took that and started making little shorts, like trying to prove that there you go, here is a creationist who is attacking Ken Hovind and he's calling him a charlatan. And they put that on their channel, which is already dedicated to attacking Kent Hovind. And my patience is running out, or run out already with you. You know who you are. I'm not going to start naming you. You kept calling him, Steven Anderson, a hate preacher. And when his hate turned to Kent Hovind, oh, now you love him. And now you take his words and you mirror them on your channel. Do you understand what hypocrisy means? Do you understand what a hypocrite is? Or do you only use this when you are told, go to church, and you're like, oh, it's hypocrites there? You should go look into what hypocrisy actually means. So you come in here and you're like friendly and everything. And I cannot, and I will not be friends, just so you know. I will not be friends with those that attack the truth. I will never be a friend with a lie. In other news, here's a word from our sponsors. All right, we have no sponsors. So, all right, Stephen, you better come back. I hope that Stephen Anderson, for me, if not for him, I want him to do me the favor of looking into him and understanding that what he did was wrong, even if he has disagreements with Ken Hovind. Hello, dear.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. How are you?
I'm good. As you see, I'm a little mad late today, but lately it's a theme. It's been happening. I don't know if it's. I think it's the hypocrisy of the war above me and the war below me, and what the world still thinks about both these wars. And it's getting me very aggravated because a lot of people are dying and a lot of children, and people are with the wrong side, like all of Europe. The people that people here elected, which I've stopped voting. All Europe, which nobody voted for von der Leyen. Nobody ever did. She just pooped out of nowhere. And the States has the hypocritical Biden, who is at one side supporting, and at the other side he is pretending to be helping, and you have this going on, and people still think that elections are going to fix this, and we're so close to the end, and people are still. I don't want to say the word. Yeah,
I'm not here.
He's here. Hey, Stephen.
It's Zissing Zod. Let me change that. Oh, he left.
What? No,
yeah, he's pretty mad at me, I think.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he is. He's been too busy to be mad. And if he doesn't come in to interrupt me, this is gonna turn ugly.
You want me to go? I'll go.
No,
I just want to keep you company and say hi.
Yeah, if you want to talk, go ahead, interrupt me, because if I keep going, people will get hurt tonight.
Well, let me see. What do I want to talk about? I pretty much feel the same. Well, I mean, obviously I'm not exactly the same, but yeah, I don't know.
This is the world of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
So in case Stephen Anderson does get to watch this, actually, if you YouTube the channel that had the debate, one of which is called Baptist Bias, the Baptist Bias, which I didn't like at the beginning. I was like, what? But they disappeared right the next day. YouTube killed the channel for different reasons, but it coincided with the debate. And if you YouTube it now, you will see videos from people who see more of the truth than the atheists that see somebody who gave Ken Hovind what he deserved. And there are videos right now that are saying this is what you get when you try to frame a child of God. And I press play on that video, and I hear them saying that this had been staged to attack Ken Hovind. So then I hear Stephen Anderson at his church, which BBM uploaded, and he was saying that he warned from the beginning that he wouldn't be friendly, and the host never put that out to Ken Hovind. So in a sense, he did get framed into a situation where he didn't expect. So that channel that is right now there having a video, it says God doesn't like ugly, and what happened was ugly. And I agree. Hello, Stephen, are you finally with us?
Sorry, I had to restart my phone. But yes, I'm here.
All right. All right. Yeah, I don't know
All
if you
right.
heard what I've been saying, but please interrupt me. Please,
Did
somebody.
we post the link so people can come flood us?
Yes, we did, but I went off a bit mad at the beginning, and I think I scared them away. I put my lion form immediately on. I didn't start like as a kitten.
That's how I got
Well,
in.
if you remember, yeah, brother, if you remember this morning when we were talking, we said the time is right. It's time to do another Lion's Den. So we knew this was going to be a bloody episode. And I'm glad we were able to soften the blow with our favorite creationist. And now we're ready to sink our teeth into some flesh. So, evolutionist, bring it. People in the audience, bring it. But I warn you, bring your A game. Achilles and I have a lot of hunting that we have just cooped up inside us because we've been keeping it in.
Yeah, we've been fasting from atheists, so it's time to
We
break it.
hungry. We're real hungry.
I already threw a couple of bites around. I said that my patience has run out with those that were calling Stephen Anderson a hate preacher, and when he attacked Kent Hovind, they started uploading videos on their channel. They should not come around me and call and say hi. I'm not going to be friendly with them anymore. We are very close to the end. Personally, where I am, I have a very hypocritical war above me and a very hypocritical war below me. There are children dying, and I will no longer be patient with those that are attacking the truth any way that they can. If it's Stephen Anderson attacking Ken Hovind, Stephen Anderson is our friend. If Stephen Andrew turns around and attacks Ken Hovind, immediately Stephen will become our friend. I'm done with that hypocrisy. So they better know that. I'm just describing what I said while you were gone. So I
That
repeated
makes
it for them.
sense. Yeah, well, we already know that they don't observe the same moral code we have, but I'm with you. I'm ready to take the gloves off. I'm tired of these enemies of the gospel
Right.
spreading their filth. It's on par with pornography. And I'm ready to start slashing open the bellies of some lies. Let's
And let me
disembowel some liars.
play a small debate game here with you with what you said. They don't have the moral code that we do, and what they say is that they have their own moral code. So do they find it moral to be attacking someone, but then when he attacks someone that they hate more, they side with him? Is that part of their moral? I mean, that's not moral. That's a shithole. I'm sorry, but
You know,
uh, I can
I
go
wasn't
flush.
really that surprised. I wasn't, though. I mean, my heart breaks for people like you and for Joseph because I know you guys love and had a lot of respect for Steven Anderson. But I've known for a long time that he was a filthy hate preacher. He preaches filth. He doesn't preach a pure gospel because you can't preach a pure gospel with hate in your heart. So, honestly, what we got out of Steven Anderson is exactly what I expected. He's a hate preacher, and he exhibited more hate that night.
Okay, and as I've told you before, I wish Steven Anderson would give me a reason to disagree with that, because right now, sir, you don't give me something to disagree with that point. Because what
Mm.
happened the other day, it was not love. And we are directed on how to talk to brothers and sisters if there are conflicts. And you, Stephen Anderson, said to your church that Kent Hovind is calling you once per year or more, asking you to go by or call him so you can solve whatever it is that exists that he doesn't even understand. And you're not doing that. So I can inform you, just as you've taught me a lot of things about the Bible, that that's what the Bible is calling us to do. Reproach privately. Call. It doesn't say call. They didn't have phones, but go private and talk about it. And you might see that you were on the wrong. even if he is on the
Yeah.
wrong. Stephen, what Stephen Anderson has done for me is that Kent Hovind, you know how much I love him, all right? But he's preaching specific things that completely killed the narrative that this world of lies has taught me. But then at some point, I felt I wanted something different. I'm not saying more, but different. I wanted to understand something that Ken Hovind doesn't touch much, like the Book of Revelation. So Stephen Anderson had a 22-hour-long series, verse by verse, explaining all the Book of Revelation to people with his understanding. So we are all different tools. Some are the feet, some are the hands. We all have different jobs in the body of Christ. You cannot turn around and attack one of the two.
Mm.
So, hello,
Well, and
everyone.
we did have some guests join in. We have Maud on the panel now. We have C Science. Welcome, C Science. And also Dustin Buck is here with us. Hey, everybody.
And hi, Pete.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say hi to Achilles and much love, buddy. I'll catch you
And
later.
hey, what? No, right. Dustin, if you're still hearing me, I think you were typing in another channel. You were in Ken Hovind's channel because I never saw your comments on the Proverbs channel, and I tried tagging you and you weren't there. So I was there. That's why I couldn't see your comments. But I don't know what that was about. But hello, C Science.
Hi, this is Mark of C Science Film Labs. How are you, Achilles?
Hello, Mark. I'm
And
good. I'm
Steve.
We know you, buddy. How you been, man?
Been doing all right. I just dropped in to say hi and see what's going on. I'm not really sure which debate you guys were talking about, but I wanted to drop by and say hi. So
So that's the thing. It wasn't supposed to be a debate. It was supposed to be a conversation on the Baptist Bias channel, which was taken down, the whole channel, like a day or 2 days after this event. But it was a conversation between two creationists, Stephen Anderson and Kent Hovind, and this was maybe a week and a half ago. And it turned into a debate because, amazingly, Stephen Anderson caved and made concession after concession to the point where it ended up looking a lot more like Kent Hovind debating another evolutionist. It was really disgusting all the time Stephen Anderson caved throughout the night.
okay, I think I did see that debate actually, and yeah, the channel totally disappeared the next day because I went looking for it to show a friend, and I'm like, "Where's the video?" So, do you guys have a screen recording of it? Because I'm pretty sure there is one.
You can go to
We
Rumble.
do.
You can find it on Rumble. The channel is the same name, the Baptist Bias, and it's
Okay.
there.
All right, I think
If
I'm
you
going to
can't
screen
find it
record
there,
it.
we do have a download. So if you shoot me your email, I will get that to you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll just screen record it and re-upload it, I think. Because, I mean, it's pretty easy for me. But
And what is the reason that this has become such a big issue is it's not that he had different views, is that he straight up was attacking Ken Hovind before he even expressed his views. Like he started saying his view by saying that this is what you always do, Ken, then you are hurting your 6-day creationism, is hurting the truth, and it's hurting the ministry, and that's why I don't like you. So things like that, and you know that's not a way to do a debate. It's not even a debate. It's just a direct attack, which Ken Hovind didn't see coming. So right now there are videos online which I happened to find because I was looking for the debate myself and I couldn't find it, but I found other videos that are saying that Ken Hovind got framed that day. He was the only one that didn't know that he was about to get attacked like that. So
And you know what
that's
I
why
appreciate? I appreciate that Kent kept his composure. He was smiling through the whole thing and he acted classy. Kent Hovind was a gentleman that night, whereas Stephen Anderson was a barbarian. And it also baffles me because Stephen is a pastor and he's supposed to implement Christian ideologies into his daily walk. And one of those ideologies we hold dear to us is that before you go take the speck out of your brother's eye, you take the beam out of your own eye. So I'm just really confused how someone who has been banned from every single country because of his filthy hate speech against people, what we consider living in sin, and then he would take that moment while he is hated all the way around the world for his hateful preaching, and he would turn against Kent Hovind for disputes on marriage. Like, it was mind-blowing that a pastor would err that disgustingly.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it seemed like Pastor Anderson started right in attacking Hovind's charts, like his the patriarchs and the timelines. So it was. I mean, there's no such thing as a moderated discussion. Like, those always turn into a debate. Okay, so you got to know going into those things that it's usually set up, and whoever's starting is usually the one that's going to be attacked. So, and a lot of times the opposer, they'll feign their what would be their opening, and say the other one should be able to open before them.
Mark, there's something going on with your audio. You sound very choppy.
Oh, I apologize if I'm roboting out, man.
Okay,
right.
I'm just letting you know in case there's something. Try. Is it a wireless set? Or is it a cable? If it's a cable, try routing it away from the USB port, because there is power going through the USB port, and sometimes, many times, it affects the audio.
Okay, how's this? Is this a little bit?
No, it still doesn't.
Still does it. Although the weird thing is it didn't for the whole beginning of the conversation.
Sure. Well, that's how it goes, Hey, P-Town.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How's it going, P-Town?
Pretty good. Just juggling babies.
Doing the dad thing, huh?
Yeah.
Well, keep your focus. Don't drop one of them. That would be terrible.
Who are you talking to? Who
Huh.
are you talking
Hello. If that's the younger one, it should learn to talk very fast.
I think he's got a 4-year-old too.
Yeah. So, Mark, just for the sake of argument, I kind of disagree. I think that it's not who starts. It has to do with what is in people's hearts. I mean, Ken Hovind doesn't have hate at all in his heart, even for subjects and people that. So he has a thing for flat Earth, right? He doesn't want to hear it, but he keeps saying that those who do, they are dedicated to their Bible. He will not attack them personally. So that's a difference that people must understand when they're going out to debate. I can tell you that I disagree with your point and I find it silly, or I can tell you you are ridiculous for saying that. These are two different ways that show what is in your heart. You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, Mark. Hey.
Yeah. Go.
Oh, Mark.
Go.
Mark. See science. Hey. So, from my perspective, it looked like it was supposed to be a discussion, and I agree with you that the appearance of it with there being a moderator, like those always turn into debates. Well, in this case, Steven Anderson's channel's taken down, so he has to go through someone else. So I can see how that could be disguised as it's just supposed to be a discussion. But anyway, I was upset with Steven Anderson. I mean, shouldn't have Kent? How did not know that? I mean, he's been hate preaching against Kent for years now. So shouldn't they have made up before they went on? I mean, at the same time, it was not surprising to me. Look at his face. Look at his face when you just instantly. Oh, dude. Yeah.
We're having trouble hearing you, there, P-Town.
Sorry, my daughter's from. Just look at his face, Steven Anderson's face. Before it started, I was like, "Oh no, this is gonna be a bloodbath." You know what I mean? Kent comes in all
It was
Just
that.
like, hey, brother.
It
Then
was-
guns were blazing.
it was
Anyway,
that.
I'll mute.
It was
Can you hear me
written-
clearly now, there, Achilles?
No, same thing.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry about that, C Science.
All right. I was just gonna say that, you know, if you can't hear me, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but there's choppiness, but we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Make
say,
your
you know,
point.
a moderated discussion is usually, you know, it is a moderated debate. And Hovind's been in hundreds of debates, so he knew what he was getting himself into. It was no trap for him. Like, it was a standoff, if anything. So, did that come through clearly?
Yeah.
Seems like it was.